That's what the bylaw. And if they miss 2 in a row, there are consequences, okay?
Okay. So
All you have to
what
do
is
is
the-
send an email and say, I can't make it.
So if we make a motion or just recognize the record.
Motion.
Okay, so I'll make a motion for unexcused absences.
I'll do it. I'll be the hard guy, the hard ass. Make a motion to not excuse Mackenzie Jewett for Esther Jacob.
Second.
I thought I was gonna die for lack
Any discussion, all in favor? Of minutes.
Remember, we didn't do the bylaws. That was her former town manager.
Any, the minutes of October 20th, 2022.
All right, Logan, I think that's as good as I'm gonna get.
Okay, great.
Yes, no?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Not the good camera, it's the bad camera.
Mark, you're with a K, not a C.
Okay, exactly. I was gonna mention that. I'm gonna have to abstain because it wasn't at the meeting, but yeah, I didn't understand the names.
So, yeah, I mean, a couple nits, Mark, Good's name is with a K, not a C. And then we can get rid of the 2 periods after Mackenzie Jewett.
Are you taking notes? Is somebody taking minutes today?
Well, that's a good question.
That's a good question.
This is Jessica.
Okay, I
If we're
need,
gonna amend the minutes.
I need to, know who made the,
I made the motion to excuse and also made the motion to not excuse.
And the first one was seconded by E. My second of the second one.
Thank
For
you.
the unexcused absences, and that was Esther and Mackenzie Jewett.
right,
Excused
got
were
that part.
Yep, Kevin Buck and Jessica. And then for the minutes, the last minutes, there's just a spelling, like a nit. Mark Good's name is spelled with a K, not a C. And extra period.
Period.
Yeah. Austin, okay, now your name, I think your name.
It is weird, but right.
Hey, you've had to live with it for how many years?
Any other issues with the minutes? And if not, I'll take a motion
I move we approve the minutes.
as amended. Yeah, second. I'll second it.
Okay, I didn't know you were seconding or after.
All in favor? Yep.
I'll abstain.
You abstaining? too?
Abstaining.
So, yeah. 4, 2 abstain. Regular business.
Great.
Inventory chapter progress updates. And Logan, it's been a while now. It seems like years ago, but I think it was just a couple of weeks ago. I did get an Excel spreadsheet that had, a list of things. I did forward that around to the group. And so people have that. And with that, I think I will let you take over item 4A.
Yep. So just a quick update on the inventory chapters. I did send around this spreadsheet, but I can send another update after today's meeting with what has changed. So we've gotten natural resources, water resources, historic and archaeological, and agriculture and forestry. So these first 4 on the list are at 80% draft. The rest, marine resources, economy, population, recreation, transportation, and public facilities and services should all be in the committee's hands and being reviewed by the committee with that timeline of getting it back to us by January, February. And we are still working, as far as I know, on existing land use. I know I gave you the same update last time we met, but there's a couple more data points and mapping analysis that is being wrapped up right now. So hopefully soon, we're aiming for before the Thanksgiving holiday to get that to you guys, but if not, then probably the first week of December. So
Okay,
that Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question. So you said at 80% done were the historic and archaeological, agricultural, land use, water and natural.
Not land use. Land use is the one that we're still working on. But yeah, everything else in that you mentioned.
And recreation, recreation, marine, public facilities, population, economy, housing, and transportation are coming out soon, and we'll review them and have them back to you by February, January.
Yes.
And what about physical capacity?
I think that that's currently being reviewed by the town and then will make its way to the committee. Can anyone in the room speak to this one?
That's what it says in the Excel sheet, second tab.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that'd be Jesse, I guess.
Yeah.
Working on that.
I mean, the one thing I will say, Logan, is that at least from my perspective, I want to make sure I'm not missing when I should forward things or send it to the committee. That there was a round of probably, I think there were four, I think the four there are at 80%. I know they went to Jesse in the town did their thing, and then it came to me and the committee, and the committee is second after the town. The town takes first crack. And those I sent out. I'm not aware of any other versions that have come from the town that are ready for the committee to review.
Okay, so I have my wires crossed. Those are 80%. Those first four are at 80% ready for committee review, and then the rest are currently being reviewed by the town to pass on to the committee.
Well, that's the question. I mean, because I'm waiting for, for me, I'm waiting for some signal from either you folks or Jesse that these have now been vetted by the town. Here you go, task force. I did get that green light on the very first kind of round
A long time ago.
and I did that bizarre. And then I missed the meeting, and we didn't. And there was some that came out kind of like the day before you did that meeting, but it wasn't clear to me whether the town had actually even looked at those. So
I don't think we need a motion, but I would suggest that sometime between our now, basically, as soon as the existing land use chapter comes out of, is in Jesse's hands, then Brett and Jesse can make sure that one full.
Yeah, I need to know what the town, other than the first four, are there more that the town has passed muster on and are ready for the task force to look at?
I think I would, my personal preference, although, would be to wait until they're all done, receive one batch.
Yeah.
And then there's whatever it is, 12, 13 chapters to look at. Just because it's then easier for me to keep track of the email threads.
I think it's important that we don't, Jesse and them don't hold on to them, get them to us.
Would you rather them, if they're ready to do the first?
I'll email Jesse after this meeting and say, hey, this is, can we figure out where we're at? Is there anything on our plate that we should be looking at other than the first four?
He'll probably respond, but he has been sick and out of the office the last couple of days.
So the first four that we got a long time ago, they're 80% done.
I think they're the 80%
those
Yeah,
now,
those are the ones.
Yes. Yeah, I think.
or are we going to get a new version of it?
Well, at some point, I think there'll be a final, reading, I would think.
Yeah,
Well,
I would think we just look over the final.
before we submit it to the voters.
But I think that those, I don't think that those are going to change, have changed
Since we looked at them. Yeah.
Those are the only ones I can find on the email. Transportation, recreation, historic, and water resources. That's that. An email back in October.
So yeah.
Yeah, I will clarify.
That is going to do some clarification with Jesse on what the process is and what we have.
I know what the
received and
process
What we
is.
need to
Yeah.
receive and when we're going to receive it.
You just know where it's at in the
I know what
process.
the process is. I just don't know where it's
Is that
at.
fair?
like, I don't know, you know, where, you know. I
That's
think
a good
Jesse-
debate with Jesse on issues.
Yeah.
We'll check on our end as well and send an updated spreadsheet that's a bit more clear. I think this is kind of confusing. Because this kind of reads that these are in your hands, so
Right.
that's how I was reading it. So let me check on that. We'll send an updated sheet.
Yeah, we just need to clarify the workflow. I mean, to me, the workflow is, you know, from you folks, North Star, to the town, and then from the town to us.
Yeah. That's my understanding.
Yeah,
well.
and then the first batch, I know, they definitely came from Jesse, came from the town. It's just, I think after that, after those four, you know, it isn't clear to me where we are in the work, that work.
Yeah, it seems they might be stuck in town review.
Yeah, I think.
Jesse's been busy.
Which I, you know, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'll send an updated spreadsheet to clarify the updated chapters. As far as I know, you guys are having a workshop at the December session. I just wanted to confirm if North Star needs to be present for that inventory session.
We go over the,
We've talked about using that time to review the chapters in person.
Okay.
In December.
December? Like December, like what day in December?
The
Just
15th,
before Christmas?
15th, the week before,
Okay.
will be our regularly scheduled meeting. And not like a public workshop, just like us sitting around the table,
Oh, okay.
talking about the inventory chapters. To be able to kind of express that it'd be nice to be able to have conversations about it as opposed to just redlining and sending an email back.
Okay. Yeah.
so
And the question I think then is, Logan, does North Star need to be here for that?
Yeah, that's the question. Were you guys envisioning that as more of like an internal working session, or do you think it would be helpful to have someone from North Star at the meeting?
one thing I think is that, you know, there's a lot of pages to this, and we're gonna each of us bring our computers so we can look at them and not print them out and discuss it with everybody, or are we just gonna do it at home and have questions?
Well, I'm open, whatever people want to do. Did you say Jesse's open to creating packets?
Yeah, like we used to get. Yeah, I spoke to him about it like a month or more ago.
Packet
He
with
said
all
it's
the
no problem.
inventory chapters?
So we just gotta ask.
We just have to ask them. You know, it's a well-oiled machine up there. As long as they get the stuff from North Star in time, that they can easily put together the packets. And for us to pick up the Thursday before the meeting or whatever.
Okay, so what would the packet be for that day? Like all the inventory?
All the
I guess, yeah, well, that would be, yeah,
That's
a lot of stuff, wouldn't it?
So we would have to pick it up on the 8th.
I'm not saying, we'd have to talk to them, works out with them, I'm just suggesting that.
Larry, I guess to answer your question, if you want a packet, a paper packet, we can get the town to do that.
I think it's kind of a waste. It's
I
it's
just
not the
assumed
real
we
thing.
had it on.
Okay, apparently I'm the only, I like to go through and underline things, sorry.
I
cross-
don't need to apologize. I think we should do like,
He's a little copy editor, I get it. It's like, I get it. Look, I mean,
packets on request or whatever.
packets on request.
That's.
Packets on request.
But I think
Mine would be, okay, as long as they can make it work.
I think Brett, what
As
your
long as
question
I'm happy, that's all that matters.
for Jesse is if he had the inventory chapters ready for our review
By that.
by the 8th.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it sort of depends on, of all the chapters that North Star has given to him, that are in the town review. If they're like high on his list, low on his list, I don't know what. It might be easy, it might not be.
I
You
think
guys
it's
want
good.
to get back to me on
Going
whether
public.
You want me there? Do
Pardon?
you want to come back to, do you want to tell us later if you want North Star to? come
Yeah, I
back?
mean, I'll just be candid on whether, on that question. To me, it boils down to whether, because what, if you're gonna edit and like, if we're gonna just sort of spit out ideas and edit in real time, it's nice to have the scrivener kind of doing that. Maybe we can have someone doing that internally. I'm not gonna volunteer for that. But if you're gonna group and you're making revisions in a document in real time, it's nice to have a person with that document open, banging it out. But that's kind of how I do things in my world.
Right, yeah.
But,
Yeah, I
But
can
should that
do
person be from North Star? or
well, that's the
somebody-
question. Yeah.
Frankly, I'd like having some consultant right here in the room.
Yeah, I mean, that would be my,
That would be my preference.
Right, they probably won't be here in the room. I'm not sure that's
right,
an option.
Well, okay.
I mean, I hear your desire. I want to validate that, but also.
I think we're leaning towards having you, Logan.
Okay,
Just add it to the bill.
okay, yes.
If like Christmas shopping for another night.
Sorry.
I will, yeah, okay, I'll put that we're gonna be there. And if something changes, you all will let me know.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. Didn't mean to open a can of worms with that one. Moving on to item 4B, the highlights of the 10-4 visioning workshop. Does everyone have the analysis overview packet in front of them? It looks like text and has some bar graphs in there as well.
Yep. I have it on paper, Logan.
So I was planning to just kind of walk quickly through this. I have some things that like I've highlighted that I want to point out as we go. So I'm kind of operating under the assumption that people have seen this, hopefully spent a little bit of time with it. If not, no big deal. We'll touch on the highlights. And if you want to go back later and spend more time with it, you can do that on your own time. So starting out with the just like general, how did this compare to the previous survey? We heard the theme of preserving Tremont's quiet and rural way of life. That was, an overarching theme that we heard that people love about Tremont. Issues that came up a bit were affordable housing, bike and pedestrian facilities, town governance, and climate change. Tourism was also a contentious issue as we surveyed people and in the workshop. On one hand, people expressed that the tourist or seasonal population makes Tremont overcrowded and overpopulated in the summer months and has led to a reduction in affordable housing options for year-round residents. But on the other hand, some people believe that tourism is beneficial to Tremont's economy and that the mix of seasonal and year-round population is part of what makes Tremont a special place to live. So when we asked the question, what do you love about Tremont? We heard Tremont's community spirit, the year-round community, and the diverse mix of year-round and seasonal residents. They also mentioned, the outdoors, all of Tremont's natural resources and waterfront activities that Tremont has to offer. And then the facilities mentioned when we asked what people love about Tremont were the school and the library. And those tended to be like common gathering places as well, which we'll get to later. And feel free to stop me if you have any questions. I'm just gonna keep rolling. Okay.
That's good.
What is the one thing that the community could do to make Tremont a better place? Now, this one, there wasn't really one overwhelming thing, but there were a few themes that came up, such as zoning and development, housing, transportation, and recreation. So zoning and development really referred to ordinance updates. They talked in the survey responses, it was a lot of limit short-term rentals, regulate affordable housing, that type of language. Transportation referred to bike and pedestrian infrastructure. And recreation referred to indoor recreation and the working waterfront. So, you know, one thing.
Hold on right there. How can working waterfront be recreation? That's a job.
No, I think it was more of like, yeah, I don't know why that made it into that category. But I think, yeah, I don't know why working waterfront made it
You
into
gotta
that.
watch them unload the boats.
But I think that it's referring to like having more, the recreation is referring to having more indoor recreation facilities. And then I think preserving the working waterfront is the idea that I read. I don't know why that's bucketed into recreation, but
I agree that obviously came up somewhere and it's important. I just didn't think it was recreation.
yeah.
2 weeks.
What's that?
Mackerel fishing.
And then we got some funny answers to this
That's not
one.
working waterfront.
Then there were some funny answers like stop the potholes with trout. People were being, you know, playful with us. So if Tremont had a town motto, what would it be? It was kind of overwhelmingly mentioned quiet and rural, you know, the quiet side. I think that's kind of your unofficial, official town motto. What are the biggest threats and challenges facing Tremont? This was overwhelmingly housing, climate change, and like unregulated, unrestricted development. I think we hear this in a lot of the communities that we work in. Kind of the general fear of development, but I think particularly in Tremont, you know, protecting the rural and quiet way of life, it's fundamental to people's identity and how they think of Tremont. So when we're thinking about the future and what we're planning for in the next, you know, decade and 20 years, climate change and development were some of the most important issues. And then tourism was also mentioned again. And I think, you know, it was the first kind of question that I mentioned. Tourism is it's a stickier subject. It's a bit more complicated, I think, for Tremont. So moving on to the mapping analysis. The place.
Make a little correction here.
Okay.
What are the biggest threats, challenges facing Tremont? Merge Tremont Consolidated School with Southwest Harbor High School. There's been a high school in Southwest Harbor since 1969, and it was called Pematic High School. I think what they mean is Pematic Elementary School.
Okay.
I want to know who's talking, who wants to put some trout, some potholes.
Potholes on the road, that was
Let's
it.
talk
The trout are gonna survive. Now,
Gratuitous
catfish or something like that might survive.
I can't believe that's hilarious. Stop the potholes.
You didn't see that?
No.
Oh, you weren't here for the.
No.
Yeah.
That's up north, they commonly talk about stocking the potholes.
Because they're so big.
They're so big, yeah.
Okay. So thank you for your help last time with the mapping activity analysis. I appreciate you all for your help. And so the first question, where are the places that need to be protected from change or growth? And where are the places to focus new investment or beneficial change? So that first group, or that first bar chart here, is what are the places that need to be protected? It was overwhelmingly open space and natural areas. The Allegany Coast, which I don't know if I'm saying that right, hopefully I did. Undeveloped land, scenic vistas, trails. Those are the sort of open space and natural areas that people wanted to see protected and preserved, as well as the waterfront, wetlands, and islands. So really, you know, the natural resources that attract people to Tremont. are top of people's minds when they're thinking about what needs to be protected and conserved in the next 20 years. Responses to the question of where does new investment or beneficial change need to focus? These were a little more varied, but the infrastructure responses included roads and sidewalk improvements along 102. People mentioned facilities such as the school, Pacific Hall, and I think, you know, that there's a need for a community center.
But we have a community center.
Yeah,
It's what now also functions as the school's gymnasium,
Okay,
built by the town, and it's called the community center.
okay, so that's a place that people mentioned we should focus more investment in that existing community center. Let me make a note that's in school. Okay, the other categories included Thurston's Lobster Pound, the area near Quiet Side Campgrounds, and
I have a
private.
question. What does that mean? What is the area near quiet side campgrounds and cabins?
Mark's backyard.
well, maybe it's the blueberry field.
So I think that was something that you guys pointed out to me last time. Let me see if I can pull up the map.
It
Where
what?
do you see him in the?
Thought so.
They're not numbered.
Yeah.
We have a campground called the quiet side campground for one thing, but
Quiet side campground is.
Yeah, so I think it's an area near Quiet Side Campground.
it's 2 properties away from me. But I don't think this necessarily means the quiet side campground, or that's one of my questions. It doesn't mean the quiet side campground, or is it just a generic
No, I
campground?
think people just put a bunch of stickers near that area. And so that was the closest kind of description that we had for it. But let me see if I can pull up that, because remember, these are the mapping activities. This would have been where people kind of place dots on the map.
You ever been back there, Mark?
Yes. Not recently.
There's views and
There's what?
views,
Views.
yeah, of the marsh. Blueberry fields. This isn't back of Riches, right?
No, it's it just the campground
Yeah,
before you get to Richtown Road on the right.
where,
Susan McIsaac's campground.
yeah.
That's a quiet side
So Riches
campground.
used to live in there. The guy that
They
used to
did?
serve the sauce.
I've been back there. I didn't see any views. Huh.
They always talked about going out there blueberrying and, you know, the marsh is out there and then the.
Okay, so this is the map.
I'm just thinking.
So,
Oh, she's got the map here.
can you see this?
Yep.
So
What is it?
you'll have to help direct me. Where is Quiet Side Campground?
On the blue things up,
It's just south of Duck Cove.
Okay, so here.
That's right. Mark, you're the pro, is that?
Hold on. I can't see without getting up close. Okay, hold on. Go back. Okay.
that's right.
Where's Richtown? This is Richtown?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
Right there. So
Yep.
quiet side would be right there. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a green dot there. Somebody wants to.
Focus investment there, yeah. Is there a better description for that? Would it be like Richtown Road intersection?
It's all privately owned. It's kind of interesting. They say, you know,
Well, Parsons is down that road. Maybe they're thinking, I don't know,
I don't know either.
because you're right.
It just seemed
It is
an
all
odd thing to
private
say
property.
to happen here. Well, there is some, yeah, you're right, but you live down on Richtown, don't you? Yeah. But back behind you, there's that subdivision too.
Yes.
Because we in the planning board, remember a few months ago, we even looked at a new lot.
Yeah. merge it or something.
Yeah,
Sounds pretty specific to me for the purposes of a comprehensive plan. I mean, it's more of a planning board.
Probably what they were trying to say was no campgrounds.
I think that's what
Probably right.
Okay, thank you for your clarification.
Yep.
Yep, so, yeah, do you think it's accurate to call that the area near quiet side campgrounds? Or do you think we should call that
Oh,
something?
I don't, but,
What would you call it?
oh, what to call the area?
I mean,
Oh,
if somebody indicated on the map that that should be an area of investment.
Yes,
But it's private property to get park. The subdivision out there is Herrick's subdivision. You would hit that if you kept going northeast.
what was the question again? I'm sorry.
If that description doesn't really make sense for, that dot, would it be more accurate to say like the intersection of Richtown Road
in the main-
or something more general?
Tremont Road, yeah,
Yeah.
I would say so.
Okay. And then the other one we wanted to point out that got a few dots, and I think we talked about it last time, was this private property near Seal Cove. And I think that you guys talked about like there's a property owner
Yeah,
there.
property there with where somebody has lots of projects going on in their yard.
Okay,
On the Cape
Meaning they
Road.
haven't cleaned their yard
On
up.
the Cape Road.
Meaning they haven't cleaned their yard up, or?
Well, I don't know what you mean by clean, but they store lots of things.
Where the Seal Cove Bride State was.
Oh,
You know that.
well, we know who that is.
The fence is designed is a comment on structural integrity.
You think that's what this is referring to?
I mean, that's where the stickers are, and when I talked to the Paynes, they were suggesting that that place needs to be cleaned up.
Yeah, the person who lives there doesn't know.
Not
Yeah.
suggesting
She
the
doesn't.
viability or like the appropriateness of it. I mean, I think, Logan, I would put it sort of in a similar category as the dot near the intersection of Bridgetown Road, which is somebody indicated that there should be some attention there, but it's not clear what that intent was.
okay. And then the town center, like the triangle area, got a lot of green. So that's something to keep in mind, where should we be focusing change or growth? Moving along to what are the most scenic locations or most iconic views in town? People had no problem answering this one. So Seal Cove Pond, picnic area, the Aldrine Coast, from Pretty Marsh to Seal Cove Dock, Thurston's Lobster Pound, Seafood Catch, the town dock, the ferry terminal, the town bridge, and Great Gotts Island were places that were mentioned. And when we think about these in the context of the comp plan, these are places where we want to preserve the view, make sure that development and growth doesn't interfere with the places that people identify as scenic views and go to, for tourism or leisure, protecting these types of places. So where does the community gather in Tremont? This one,
Please. Town bridge, we have like 4 bridges. So I think what they're referring to is probably the Adams Bridge, or I think it's also more commonly known now as the Marsh Bridge, according to DOT, which is between Southwest Harbor and Tremont, and is a view of the Bass Harbor Marsh. That's my guess, or it could be the bridge by the school too. That's scenic view.
Yeah, but you see a lot of people taking
Oh, yeah,
photographs.
yeah. So it just said the town bridge, so I
Right.
didn't know if
Yeah.
they needed to be more specific. Where to show in the map?
yeah, I can pull it up. So wherever there were these stickers were the scenic views.
It's on the other side of town,
Gotta go south.
or
Or to the east.
Yeah.
okay,
Almost
Go
there.
eat, yeah, go eat.
Yeah. go
This
to
is
town.
the school bridge, right?
right,
Yeah.
and if you go
Just a little bit further east.
just a little bit further east,
Or maybe it's right there.
no. No,
The
there's
town
wrong
line was
way,
shown there.
wrong way. Go back,
Go back.
Go back to that one with the town, with the school bridge.
Oh, sorry, I'm like checking these somehow, sorry. This one?
So just to the right of the triangle,
At the town line,
at the town line, those stars
Yeah.
that's,
are the Adams Bridge, is what you're calling it?
Okay,
Well,
yeah.
The Marsh Bridge?
I originally knew it as Adams Bridge, and then when they did the reconstruction, I think they call it the Marsh Bridge, so that's what I think
Let's call
that, that's what the MDOT
What
calls
do
it
they call the
now.
one by the school?
Pardon?
What do they call the one by the school?
I should know, Larry, because I wrote about it many times, and I can't remember right now. You got me wondering, Larry, gee, I'm gonna have to go home and check.
Yeah, that's it, where the,
Yeah, we can be more specific about the bridges.
where the yellow stars are,
I mean, both bridges
There.
are seen.
yeah, there,
People adore that view.
yeah,
yeah. They do this. I mean, stop take pictures all the time.
yep.
Okay. Yeah, we can be more specific. Okay, and then where does the community gather in Tremont? So the clear places were the library, the school, Thurston's Lobster Pound. But what stood out to us was the amount of participants that marked that there weren't great places to gather in town.
Yeah.
True.
And the other thing that stood out to us about this was there wasn't a town square or a particular, public park that people identify as their town square or a gathering place. And we know that great public spaces make great towns and great places to live. So I think that's kind of something to be thinking about in terms of the context of Tremont and where does the community gather.
Now, when people, point to the Algerine here, we do have a picnic area down there, and that's, one place people might, or they do gather.
And there's a couple of monuments down there.
And, also the picnic table set up by the town dock too, the Bernard Wharf.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is-
Back beach too.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So, yeah, those were kind of the highlights of the feedback. And I took some notes where we stopped, so we can go back and get more specific, but that was our analysis. And if we are ready, we can move on to the vision statement draft activity. And I'm looking at this example vision statement, or not example vision statement, the draft vision statement that we sent you. So I can pull it up actually.
We have that here, right? We all.
Oh, you have it in front of you?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So the feedback I heard last time was that we want clear, concise, can fit on one page. We start doing multiple pages, we start losing people. We want it to be simple, and when you read it, you say this is Tremont. So that was kind of the feedback that I took and gave to our team as we workshopped this vision statement. So the way we're thinking about it is kind of what were the elements of the vision statement? So what were the most the major themes that we heard? What stood out the most? So when we think about values, quiet, rural way of life, community spirit and values, the working waterfront and how the marine industry is so important to the history of Tremont, and the year-round community there. When we think of challenges in Tremont, we think of development pressure, climate change, and the issues of affordable and year-round housing. When we think about our needs for the future, we are thinking about better bike infrastructure, pedestrian infrastructure, and public transit. There were a few mentions of the Islander Explorer service and how that could potentially expand. The school, the community center, and Pacific Hall, which you guys might have more to say about, hopefully, maybe. Special places where the town dock and working waterfront, Seal Cove ramp and picnic area, Seal Cove Pond, Bass Harbor Marsh, and the Algerine Coast. And when we go through this list, the feedback we're asking from you all at this point is there anything missing, you know, based on what we just talked about and the analysis that we've done, but also the local knowledge that you have of your community? Are there values that are missing from here that you're like, you know, we can't move on without including this in our values? We can't, you know, we need to mention, there's a certain place we need to mention that you can't think about Tremont without that special place. So that's the kind of feedback that we're looking for on the elements of the vision statement. And then the vision statement, I can go ahead and read it once through. And then I have a list of questions for you all about where we need a little bit more feedback, or just to kind of pull the threads a little bit. And then, so I can either like read it and then get to my questions, or let you all react as we kind of go through. I'll just go ahead and read it. And then if we want to stop and discuss, or you just want me to jump into my questions, you can do either one. So Tremont is a year-round community that embodies quiet small town coastal Maine. Tremont often serves as a counterpoint to the seasonal hustle and frenetic energy on the rest of Mount Desert Island, and is anchored by its working waterfront at Bass Harbor and sense of community found through the school and library. Tremont is not immune to the traffic, year-round housing challenges, and seasonal rhythms of the summer tourist season that characterize MDI communities and Acadia National Park. However, residents prioritize safe transportation for people to walk, bike, and drive in Tremont, take advantage of the expanded Island Explorer service, and work to coordinate regionally on regional housing issues. That reads a little funky. The town's connection to nature is central to Tremont's economy, quality of life, and rural character. Coastal views and access to areas like Tremont's Islands, the Algerine Coast, and Bass Harbor Marsh are an important part of what it means to live in Tremont. Future development and infrastructure decisions will be mindful of natural resources and systems, especially in the face of a changing climate. Despite climate impacts on the ocean and marine environment, Tremont residents are forward-thinking on the marine environment and still connected to the ocean for their livelihood and to recreate and relax. So I'll go ahead and tell you what my questions are for you all.
You make a couple comments first?
Yes.
Here we go.
You added an R on that last sentence. And as I read it before you read it, I noticed it was missing something, which I was going to guess was an R.
Yeah.
Okay. So Tremont residents are forward thinking, right?
Yes.
On the marine and yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And back to the first, I guess we're going to call it graph. The last sentence, however, Tremont residents prioritize safe transportation. And down toward the end there, take advantage of expanded Island Explorer service and work to coordinate regionally on regional housing issues. I don't think you need two regional, so coordinate regionally on housing.
On regional housing issues, yep.
And I believe counterpoint in that first sentence should be, or second sentence should be one word.
Sorry, say that again. The counterpoint should be,
Counterpoint, isn't that one word?
counterpoint should be one word. Yeah, I think you're right. Counterpoint, yep, that should
Point
probably.
counter.
I mean, it feels a little more descriptive and not more like kind of where we want to go. There's certainly.
I have a comment on the challenges. I think there should be something in there about the consolidation of services island-wide. Somebody would have to be pretty good at wording it so it doesn't stir up too much, but or really prominent. But I think there is a way, because that's a big part of.
So the
it has-
consolidation of town services.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say, I've never seen a vision
Island-
statement for a town. that
Island-wide
suggests you're gonna-
services.
Sorry, it's hard to hear.
Your island-wide services that need consolidating.
Island-wide services, yeah, okay.
And
But is that really
Yeah, I
something?
mean, we heard that a little bit in the survey, that the school is important to Tremont's way of life, and if things were to be consolidated, that.
We also have fire, we have ambulance, we have police. All those things need to be considered from an island viewpoint, perhaps. Mark doesn't think so.
No, I get that. I just think that this is when your vision statement relies on other people, other towns cooperating with you, I don't know. Like, that's not, we don't control it.
Okay, true.
Like, we don't control it.
Yeah.
You know, those are things that we should explore and just do anyway as part of good town management, but I don't know.
We should say it should be encouraged
Yeah,
without saying,
Yeah, I don't,
I don't see anything wrong with adding something that would suggest we would encourage that exploration.
Sure.
but it's a challenge. That's what I'm going by, a challenge. And it's certainly something that's going to be, I think, in the top four things of challenges.
It may also be worth making a note on the.
Did we see that in the feedback anywhere? We did?
But we started on the original survey. Quite a bit.
To consolidate with other towns?
Yes.
I didn't hear any of that.
Consolidate some services or be open to that in the future.
Okay, do we,
Has everything
I
to
didn't-
do with taxation.
I didn't see that. Or maybe I missed
So
I can't remember exactly, but I thought at some point it had been mentioned.
it. And what we
I think it
discussed.
was mentioned, yeah.
Just on some of the consolidation thing, I thought,
Well,
maybe we discussed it at a meeting here where, is that possible? Because we were asked if there were any sort of consolidated efforts going on. And we talked about how the League of Towns is doing some stuff, but doesn't really go that far.
And on the survey that we did a year ago,
that's
we
what
had
I
questions
understood.
about consolidating.
Okay, you
And I
have
have-
the survey there.
I did
Okay.
the survey, I don't have the results in front of me,
Results, okay.
but
What were the questions?
should the town of Tremont consider consolidation of service with other towns in the future? Check all that apply. School.
And I think on
fire.
the summing up of it, or it was high on.
Okay,
Larry's right.
I get it. I just don't remember going over that with what we just reviewed. I know.
There was a mention of that in the,
That's different,
Yeah.
that's different from the
Which is-
survey that we did.
It was on the
2 months ago.
original survey.
was that to me?
So Logan,
I'm curious, Logan, do you see in town vision statements an expression of intent to consolidate with other towns as part of a vision statement for a town?
I guess not.
I think if it's a large enough challenge, it would be appropriate to address in a way in the vision statement. I did read this in this survey and the analysis that we did. So I did hear concern from the community about this as well. I think, there's a question of, I want to go back and look at that first survey too. And look at the consolidation questions in there.
You know,
I-
part of it is
I
because
know that it's been mentioned in comp plans, you know, in inventory chapters and visioning, like in the actual, like meat of the comp plan. I'm having a hard time like jogging my memory if I've seen it in a vision statement. But I think it would be appropriate.
You know, and part of the reason I mentioned it is because also there's a comment here about coordinating regionally on housing issues. I can tell you right now, Bar Harbor could care less about, towns are gonna do what they're gonna do. Right now, they are pushing people this way, and they could care less about what we do. And that's just how it works.
Yeah.
They are limiting Airbnb, they're licensing them, and it's pushing people this way. So I don't see a lot of regional coordination.
I do. I don't,
How?
the island housing trust.
Through
is-
those,
Through
yeah,
nonprofits?
yeah,
Okay, not through the
yeah,
town.
not through the towns themselves. That's, I thought the same thing as.
Yeah, with the MDI Housing Authority, trying to think of, and MD 365 are like convening working group sessions.
Yeah, that's fine. When I read this, I was thinking more,
Maybe the planning board should be involved in those discussions or whatever. I don't know, push stuff on the planning board, but like,
I thought the suggestion that we were gonna coordinate though with.
Beginning in July.
the list is getting longer and
Remember
longer.
too, this is supposed to be the vision, the forward thinking. You know, not necessarily right now, but what do we want to be?
I'd suggest adding something to say that the Island Explorer Service is actually seasonal, and we'd be interested in seeing expansion in that area.
So take advantage of expanded Island Explorer Service.
Exactly, but the seasonal, right now it's seasonal, so,
It doesn't even go through all the Tremont.
right, they cut it back,
And, you know, I don't think it's ever done.
probably not.
That's probably no money. What did we decide about the consolidation of services with other towns?
I made a note to include it in challenges, but I think we can come back to it. But I think we can include it in the vision statement elements, you know, within our challenges. And then how we want to tie it into the paragraph, I think we can decide later.
To explore the consolidation of services with other towns?
In the future, or
Yeah. And reason that I say explore, because it's kind of vague, just said you look into things, and we don't, it's not really.
I mean, it
saying that
should
we're gonna
be-
do it.
in
Is that
line with,
controversial?
along with keeping,
Is it controversial?
it is controversial.
The services.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
controversial.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is a vision statement that people have to adopt.
Right.
So,
Well,
Let's
that's
stick it in there and see what the response is.
yeah, okay.
Come
That's-
out if they don't like it.
Pardon me?
What's that?
If we have a meeting where we share this and people say that's really wrong, we don't want to do that, we take it out.
Take it out.
Yeah.
But it depends on what side of the aisle you get there. Because it's two sides to this.
Right, yeah. Well, everything's got two sides.
Yep.
Right.
Usually more than
Polygons.
Yeah.
Well, Logan, you had some questions though, yeah?
Yeah, if I may, I had some prompts so that to kind of get us thinking about what we might be missing. So the first question is, are we missing anything that's essential to Tremont? You know, someone on our team brought up, you know, Tremont really has a low-key, easygoing vibe. How do we capture that in the vision statement? So that's kind of a question we have for you. Do you think that the language of a year-round community that embodies small town coastal Maine describes Tremont, or should we incorporate somehow easygoing, laid back? I'm not exactly sure, but someone on our team did want to ask that question.
So I have a question for my fellow task force members. Do we here in Tremont have a laid back, easygoing vibe?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure I agree with that totally.
I think the town is, look, it's, I was just looking up the term bedroom community. You know, the history is such that it used to be Southwest Harbor and Tremont were all just one big piece of land or one town, right? I think
It was
called
Tremont, it was Tremont.
McKinley or something.
No,
No,
it was
no.
McKinley, it was
Then it
Tremont.
was a village.
Municipality.
But Southwest Harbor and Tremont were all.
Well,
Yeah. Southwest Harbor didn't exist. Southwest Harbor was Tremont
Tremont.
in 1904, I think it was, somewhere in there. Southwest Harbor, some people over there, they wanted to build a school. Of course, it was Tremont, and the town meeting, the voters in Tremont didn't want that. They didn't want to spend the money to build a school, so Southwest says,
Split.
the heck with you, we're splitting off.
Yeah.
And they did that, and they built the school.
Yeah, so there's the history right there. It's actually a town that's seceded from the, from the actual town.
Yeah, so like.
And Southwest has the town square and
The downtown area.
We're like a suburb of Southwest. It's like a bedroom community of Southwest.
Right.
That's the kind of the.
And as a result of that vote, they built Tremont High School.
Well, that was later, yeah.
Came later.
Actually, I think the original school building, at least part of it, that they built was moved, and it's part of the town office building now.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I missed that.
So laid back, I would almost, I don't know how this is gonna go, but I would describe it as it's a mix of, blue collar, a lot of the folks that support, and certainly, if you go way back, you read the history, the rusticators and whatever in Bar Harbor, a lot of the labor to maintain those properties came from here. That's still true. A lot of the caretakers and the contractors and it's changing. Obviously there's oceanfront property here. People are coming here, seasonal folks. But I would say the Tremont it's a mix, but it's kind of a work, it almost feels working class. I would like to say it, but it is. I think it's you've got a lot of fishermen, a lot of contractors, a lot of earthwork, excavation, landscaping.
At the same time, we have a lot of white collar work.
At the same time, now with COVID, you've got people coming in that could work from home. So is it laid back? And it's a town struggling. It's a town, I think, struggling with what's what it's going to be when it grows up, because it's because of the pressure now created by the ability of people to just basically live anywhere. And the fact that, the sort of the crawl up the main coast of the real estate pressure to people who want to live by the ocean, it's here. And so the housing is this is short-term rentals. So it's laid back in the sense that I think people enjoy nature, they enjoy the quiet. It's called, the quiet side or the backside. It's called the backside. And people say that with pride, that it's a working class community. It's probably the last working harbor here. I mean, you go in Bar Harbor, Northeast Harbor, there are some lobster boats, there's a lot of Indians. You go to Bass Harbor, it's lobster boats. So, is it laid back? I'd say it's a working class bedroom community of Southwest.
And it's a community. It's a community in flux too, because we have all these pressures that have been placed upon us that we're really dealing with right now.
So, it's laid back, but it's also, you go to the town meetings and the planning board meetings, and there's definitely some stuff going on with land use and trying to figure stuff out and trying to get trying to get the needle right. So, I don't know, laid back, maybe a little too far.
And so did that confuse you?
Yeah, I know.
Confuse you enough?
I think you answered my question pretty well.
Okay. Is that fair?
I think so. I mean, I'm not sure what they envision our town as being is what it really is completely.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. The next question I had was about natural resources and climate change. So we kind of touch on that in this last paragraph. Despite impacts on the ocean and marine environment. And, in the face of a changing climate, we say. So our question was, is there anything else we need to mention in terms of climate change and natural resources? And go ahead.
What does it mean to be forward thinking on the marine environment?
We're thinking about the future.
What happens when the lobster industry?
Want to hear her answer?
I think that's kind of a question we have. That's my next question. What does it mean to be forward thinking? And for you all, how do you envision
Answer
This-
question.
Yeah, that's literally my next question. What does it mean to be forward thinking? And especially in terms of tourism, you know, as impacts of climate change may affect the marine economy, how does Tremont want to be thinking about tourism? I've seen in some vision statements, you know, we say we continue to attract tourists. We are pivoting towards agro-tourism, you know, attracting people to like stay on farms and have experiences, that sort of thing. I've seen that in other vision statements. So thinking about what is that exactly does it mean to be forward thinking in Tremont, and do we want to address that here in the vision statement?
Well, that's why I brought it up is we have a lot of lobstermen who are basically the economic engine of this town in many ways, that are up in arms about regulations to fishing. And I would say that their reaction isn't necessarily being forward thinking on the marine environment the way that I would say that.
But there are
The way I
other,
would interpret
but there
that.
are other citizens who are,
No, I agree,
Yeah.
I agree.
Right.
I'm just saying,
Sorry.
and in fact, I believe selectmen, you were at the selectmen's meeting, did they approve money for the lobster? They just recently approved money to, for the Maine Lobstermen's Association to, legal defense fund essentially.
right.
Yeah,
They got $1 million+ on
yeah, it's
So
been
we can,
it.
500, yeah, Stonington gave them a lot and it's gonna give them a lot
They're the
more.
largest, they're the
Yeah,
largest port in the state.
yeah, yeah.
I don't think forward thinking is the right word.
I
Don't think it's
I
right.
mean, there are many, I agree with Lawson, there are many people who feel that way, but then again, there are others who,
What's good for the individual lobsterman is not necessarily good
good for the
industry.
marine environment, exactly.
Exactly.
Because I'm thinking
Good way to
about
put it.
the sustainability committee, which I'm in touch with, but they're like part of, I don't know about the harbor committee or other, you know,
Well, they're gonna echo the words of the lobster mill.
right. Right.
So basically, they're lobstermen talking about the harbor.
So I think, Logan, it would be definitely fair to say that it's much more conflicted than,
Yeah.
or like,
Census of forward.
Tremont holds these dualities.
Okay,
And you asked about tourism, and I think the same thing would apply to tourism, where
yep,
there are some Tremont residents who are excited and encouraged.
Yeah, it depends
Well,
on
the
what
only
you're.
people that like the tourists are the people making money directly off
Yeah,
it.
there aren't that many trees.
Yeah, not as many
Yeah,
as
I would say, you
other
know,
towns.
Southwest, they're all, I mean, they have a town, I mean, there's 4 or 5
Right.
restaurants, I don't know, 10 maybe, I don't know.
I think there's less people than that want to.
You got what, the
tourists
seafood
coming
catch?
over here. They
Yeah,
wanna keep it
Don't forget about the people making money on weekly rentals. And
Yeah, that's-
Airbnbs.
Supporting
to
the
address.
Yeah.
That's gotta get.
Logan, we sort of skipped over your question about climate change and climate impacts, and I think that actually starting the sentence with despite sends the wrong, well, whatever, and I'll be transparent about my bias or my like point of view. And I would actually phrase it like, because of climate impacts on the ocean and marine environment, Tremont residents are forward thinking. It's not despite the climate impacts, it's like in
yeah,
response
yeah,
to, inspired by, or informed by.
yeah, they're, you know,
They're
yeah,
the
okay.
front of mind, they're what is motivating a portion of our town.
Got it. All right,
What are those impacts? Is it the loss of the fishery, is those many lobsters? Is the rise of sea
Fishery, sea level, sort of,
Right, what
I guess.
ocean acidification,
Road
so the
issues.
change of marine environment.
level? Road issue?
do you think it's, so that was our question, like, do you think it's important to mention those things in the vision statement?
I
No,
think that will go over like, you know what?
Or do you think it's okay to
Yeah.
just kind of leave it general, like, because of?
I think that climate impacts is specific enough.
Okay, that was our, yeah, that was one of our questions.
I think, as, you know, when we talk about natural resources or talk about, like, in the chapters, we can
Yeah,
get more.
of course, yeah.
I don't think we need to get
More
specific.
specific. So the other question was also, you know, what kind of people do we want to attract to Tremont? You know, is this a place that continues to be attractive to year-round residents? Is this a place that continues to attract those white collar workers that can work from anywhere, like you mentioned? Is this a place that continues to attract seasonal residents? You know, I think thinking about what kind of place this wants to be in the future. Does that need to make it into the vision statement somehow?
I'll throw out my view. If you go to Northeast Harbor right now, it's dead. There's not really a year-round community because it's just, it is what it is. They tend to be very, very affluent people. They're seasonal, and I think there's one general or some colonel or something, maybe.
Well, it's been like that.
What, is that restaurants?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a number of
it has been
restaurants.
that, but they shut down.
Oh, in the winter,
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
I don't think there's much.
And so at least, I know it's probably inevitable here, but I'm hoping it's after I'm long on the ground. But it would be nice to continue to try to encourage a year-round community. It is nice on Saturdays to go, it's funny, I'll say go to God's, not actually in Tremont. But you see most Gordon, McKinley, you see people here. People live here. It's nice to see your neighbors in the winter, and you don't get to see that in Northeast Harbor. And the only way you get that is you have to have people who can live here year round. And those people have to have jobs.
Right.
Unless we somehow
And
encourage.
affordable housing.
Yeah, unless we somehow encourage affordable housing in some way that allows people to live here, we're not gonna be a viable year-round community.
That's right.
And, the school's gonna shut down and.
That's right. The Airbnb piece is the
Tremont
beginning of the.
Is the town on the island that has the most land.
Has the most what?
Land.
Yeah.
Which town?
Tremont.
Tremont.
But, but then again, by zoning, a lot of it is, it's that pink that's residential business.
Is it the thing?
Yeah.
I think people are buying it up. I heard somebody bought 17 acres on Kellytown Road.
Campground.
No, don't say that.
Or housing.
wanna deal with another one.
For-
Oh my God. Don't say that.
I think they've saturated the
Okay.
market.
Anyway. So
And is
I
there
also think, look, there's also room, for seasonal folks. Obviously, there are those properties that are, folks that are here, that will continue to be that. But I would like to see us have something in the statement about, or somewhere about encouraging and doing things to encourage a year-round community.
I think that it's hard to imagine us trying to encourage tourism of any kind as a comprehensive plan task force. Like, that doesn't seem like we don't hear that from our community. We hear that from some developers who want to open, but like this is, and seasonal housing. I think, like I would say, affordable housing and year-round affordable housing.
We said something like we want to see, continue to see a mix of use with an emphasis on available affordable housing.
Affordable year-round housing.
Right.
Just, sustainable year-round jobs. It's kind of, have you looked at the old one? You probably wrote it.
No, I wasn't on there. I wasn't on. Larry was.
No, I wasn't.
Oh, you weren't on?
No.
Kevin was.
Oh.
The last comp plan you think, Kevin was.
Yeah.
I tried to find the previous one.
That's a population. That's interesting. It's right after the vision is the population goal. That's the first thing we said.
Yeah.
Wishes to be a community with a year-round population composed of all age groups.
And wishes to sustain a seasonal population. Whereas this is before.
Seasonal is different than weekly though.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like, I feel like.
I don't think
like
we knew
seasonal, here for the summer, welcome aboard.
Yeah. Come spend your money and pay your taxes.
Their properties are the one with the highest tax rate.
The 1997 one, it's interesting because that was before the town dock, we had the town dock. So
There was no town dock.
No, that was privately
That was
owned. It
privately
was
owned.
Snicker Damon owned that down there.
Yeah.
And the town bought it from
We took
him
a
at
bond,
one
yeah.
point. Yeah, that was a big
That's
deal.
funny, we
Yeah.
Before my time, but yeah.
For him, Bud Higgins had it. Or Snicker had it.
Oh, really?
It was a lobster wharf.
Okay, yes.
Logan, what do we got here? I'm running out of gas.
You're right, you're yawning. Okay. So I think I've gotten some good feedback. Those are pretty much my questions. And the last question I have is, how do we want this graphically represented? We had some people on our team with creative ideas, like it should be a lobster or a lighthouse or a buoy or
Hell
something.
no.
No.
Sorry.
I'm
They
gonna
can't
walk
pass it to
you
them.
through really quick some examples. Can you see like well enough on the screen if I scroll through this?
Yep.
Okay, so these are some examples. So we did send you a packet of vision statements to review that we talked about last time, but we did not send you them in their original form. They were kind of copied and pasted into a document. So in order to show you how some different vision statements have been represented, I'll quickly scroll through some examples. So this was Kenny Bunkport's vision statement. They start with a short introduction and their vision, which is kind of similar to how this is laid out, a few paragraphs, right? But then what they do in Kenny Bunkport is they got specific on some of these like headings. Talked about economic opportunities, housing, and they sprinkled in great drone photography, which I really liked how they did that. So they present the paragraph with an introduction, and then they go deeper into some of the elements of the vision statement, sprinkled with nice, beautiful aerial imagery.
Drone shots.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
It's Rick.
Hollowell 2022 plan. Theirs was presented as kind of bullet points. And they were very much like action-oriented statements. So like by investing, by providing, by embracing. So they were very action-based statements.
Way of doing it better.
And they kind of had this like general pinwheel graphic. Reminds me of like the recycling graphic. Gray, this is one that our team did. And in Gray, they started with the values. So their values were, small town, cost-effective delivery of municipal services, emphasizing the village. Then they put their vision statement that's on one page in paragraphs, but what the unique thing that we did in Gray was we did this kind of walk through Gray. So it's, if you can imagine you're touring a friend through Gray, it's kind of giving a description of what particular places in town should look like in the future. So this was like very, very specific, kind of like a physical walk through Gray. This is Nobleboro's, which was very much, just plain, no graphic representation. And Belfast, which is an older one, which is similar to how the Kenny Bunkport was laid out, where they kind of gave us a vision statement and then broke it down into like 7 key themes. That's all I pretty much wanted to share. And I think there's like no one right way to do it. I'm getting tired too. And so I think it's really specific to Tremont, your community, and then we'll take it in whatever direction, you tell us to run with. And you can have some time to think about it. I don't think we need to be making a decision, but if in the next couple of days, if you think about it and maybe have some ideas of, or if you don't know and you want us to go for it, how we think is best, we can do that too. So.
Yeah, I do think the aerial photo shots of Kenny Bunkport,
Yeah.
we have just killer. Like
Right up the
a
bay.
shot off the bridge, a shot of Bass Harbor, you know, a shot of, I don't know if you want to do the.
God's bid.
Oh, yeah, God's bid.
I think that,
The
I think that
Algerine
would-
coast. and
that,
it-
that
it's
kind of
just-
thing is gonna sell the plan, whatever, you know. Stick our necks out.
I think,
It's not the graphics that sell the plan.
Not a lobster?
That'll make the plan look nice, but
A lobster.
No lighthouses, please.
No lighthouses, no lobster, okay,
no blueberries.
The
okay.
Historical Society used to have the lighthouse for their brand, but we rebranded it, we used the Western Mountain.
Off the bridge, that shot off the,
Yeah,
Yeah.
looking from.
Yeah,
Notice,
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
notice Rennie's is using that picture now in their advertising.
Really?
Yeah. Of Western Mountain from the bridge here.
You can see an LLB catalog.
Logan, the one thing that comes to my mind for me that, I don't know how you turn this into a graphic representation, but the sort of, the both and-ness of Tremont, that we are residential and business, we are seasonal and year-round, we are forward-thinking and
Traditional.
traditional. Thank you. And
We're just a dichotomy.
laid back and not so laid back.
right. Like we're laying back, but also not really.
But we have a short fuse. Laid back with a short fuse.
So I don't know what you do with
We
that.
encourage tourism for about half an hour.
If I had to see him come, I'd say to go.
All right, I think that's good direction. No lobsters, no lighthouses, nothing cute.
We like the aerial shots.
You like the aerial shots? Okay.
Gotta have lobster boats
We'll have to get it
somewhere in
down.
there, photos of
Lobster
lobster
boats.
boats.
Lobster boats about.
And we'll sprinkle, maybe we'll get like some Kate smell in it.
Yeah,
or something,
yeah.
you know.
Oh, scratch and sniff.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah, it's time to go. Let me see.
Okay, our next meeting, I think.
Yeah, so
Oh,
the tentative dates for the public workshop, we didn't confirm 2/2 or 2/9 yet. We want to wait to get a little closer on those.
Okay.
And then I'll let you guys do your thing. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. And then, yeah, next meeting is December 15th. I will get with Jesse on where we are, the inventory chapters and a packet from Mark. And
I'm the only one who wants it, right? I thought you said one time.
See, there you go.
Okay, I thought one time you said you'd like to have the paper to look at. Okay.
It's gonna
I
be.
don't want to drag my laptop down here every time we have a meeting and
I think
sit
we're
there at
on
that
one.
thing too much anyway.
Well, should I take a motion for the next meeting?
Sure.
Yeah, I can have, yeah.
I move that we have our next meeting at 5:30 PM on December 15th.
Second,
All in favor?
December 15th.
Yeah, and that'll be the inventories workshop session. I think that's it. I don't think we need to go,
That's it, yeah.
we don't need to go over the potential agenda items for January. We can do that.
I move we adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Chair seconded.
Thank you, Logan.
Thanks.